Okay, let me verify real quick. Bear with me one moment.
I just got the notification.
Okay. All right, so we're live. What's up, y'all? This is Tanya Faison with Black Lives Matter Sacramento. I'm gonna let the folks on here introduce themselves.
What's up, y'all? My name's my bad, Victor. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, go.
My name is Bishoy, also Black Lives Matter Sacramento.
Yo, my name is Victor from Black Lives Sacramento as well.
Did you already introduce yourself, Victor?
Yeah, I'm Victor.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to mute myself real quick. Okay, let me go back to Zoom. I'm trying to manage everything. This is a last minute podcast because we just had a really good event that we attended, but we wanted to talk about it a little bit. But I'm just arranging everything and I'm just getting situated, so bear with me. We just had an event that we attended. It was not put on by us. It was put on by the Sacramento NAACP Youth Council, which they're a beautiful group of young people. We've been organizing with them for a couple of weeks now to put on this, and basically how it went is we had a moment to like meet with other organizations. This event was for people that are doing work on the front line, mostly organizations or individuals that do organization type work. So this space was for us to come together and like build with each other. So we had a set of questions that we're supposed to ask the folks, and everything was planned out and organized by the youth. So everything, all the questions were created by the youth. The goal was to stay on task and on focus. But a lot of stuff just, came up in the group of, work, people doing the work on the front lines and disagreements and things like that. So we wanted to talk about it today. We don't have an agenda, but we just debriefed a little bit and decided we want to talk to the people about this because it's important to know what leadership looks like, what effectiveness looks like, and um, how to spot that, and how to see opportunists, how to see people that are looking for clout. What it is that people want is visible, so it's good to have an idea of what to look for. Does anybody want to chime in real quick and just come from the top?
I mean, all of that. I think that the thing that I was most impressed with and was most hopeful with is that it was driven by the youth. I really appreciate how in depth they were in planning, and all the different breakout groups, and how it didn't just focus on one area. It hit it from all different aspects, all different tactics of advancing issues that Black folks face, and allowing different organizations to come in and speak to it. So I think that was super positive, and really appreciate the direction that the youth is heading. It's dope.
I'm gonna chime in with that, that same appreciation. I mean, big ups to the youth that really facilitated, organized, and orchestrated that to the best of their ability. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see young people hold a space. That's not easy. It's not easy to hold a space when you're an adult. When you're a young person, it's not easy to hold a space at all. So definitely big ups to them to hold space with a diverse amount of folks, a large amount of folks. And just to, I think, put in the work, and I think to facilitate in a way that they brought in so much energy. Like they tried to implement so much beautiful young energy, with the roll call. Like that was so beautiful to see them try to really push people and to push us out of our own comfort zones, to have these deep and important conversations. So I was just appreciative of them as a whole.
Yeah, they're great. Jalil and James are the main people that I've communicated with. I'm not really familiar with the whole group, if there's more to it than them, but yeah, they did really good. I was super impressed. Like, it's really hard to get a whole bunch of groups into one space. Like, that is very, very hard to do. It's hard to get individuals into one space. It's hard for us to get together to make a podcast. Like, it's literally hard because everybody's schedules and stuff, but they managed to do it and everybody pulled up. Everybody showed up. So many organizations that I didn't even know existed showed up, and that was beautiful as well. And then, yeah, they were just super organized. I'm really proud of them. I'm really, really proud of them and their organizing skills. And they're young, so they still, like, they're gonna become so much better. Like, You know what I mean? Like put some years on it and they're going to be like outstandingly great. It's going to be ridiculous. So I'm excited to see them in our future. I'm excited for their work. Um, so let me see if I can pull up the questions real quick so we need to go over, what do we want to, what exactly what does leadership look like?
You. My bad. Well, I don't know.
I felt not the shade at me, but I felt the shade in that, but it wasn't toward me. I know that, but yeah, that's hella funny. Like you. But yeah, what does leadership look like?
I think what I appreciated and what I appreciate in the leadership is a willing to step back, to understand what's been asked of you in in the role, specifically when it comes to the requests that come from the youth, right? Like it's not what I love about the leadership that comes from that is taking what the youth requested of us because we're a resource for them, and then stepping back and not dictating or preaching what it is that we feel the youth should be doing, but allowing the youth to direct us in the way that they need support from us, and allowing for them to ask the questions that they have of us, and then being willing to, set aside what we may have as our own agendas and to take that time and to hold that space to be able to speak to what the youth have asked us to do, right? To be able to answer those questions for them so that they can take that and build and continue to organize in the way that they do. We are all at different stages of our activism or our organization, and I think we may have all learned different lessons at different times, but I think being able to step back and say, hey, well, what was the question you had? Oh, that was okay, for sure. Like, let me go ahead and answer those questions for you, and be able to provide that kind of platform for you so that you're able to grow from that, and not just promoting what you think is your own agenda or your own aspect of it. So to me, that's what good leadership is, especially when dealing with the youth. They ask us to sometimes step into roles that we may not be comfortable with to do. But I think when we have the ability to honor their request of us and hold space for them to answer what they ask of us is a beautiful form of leadership.
Plus, I mean, and this is like, to me, this is common knowledge. Like whoever the most impacted is in a group, like if we're talking, they're the ones that need to lead that space. So if we're talking about youth issues, then the youth need to lead that space because the youth are the only ones that know what it's like to be a youth right now in this moment. They're the only ones that know what that's like. And they're the only ones that can give us the ideas on how to fix it or what they want to see change. And so we have to follow their lead. Like they're our future and they are our right now. Like they are our right now. So, but yeah, go ahead, Bashoy.
No, I mean, I think you hit it, just right on the head right there. And, I think Bell Hooks reminds us that our Black youth are the most oppressed people. Our youth are the most oppressed people. And it's some leadership looks like community. And, I jokingly said you, and I'm not lying in that piece, but you create a space where it's an us, right? And that's what leadership's all about, is not taking it on as a lone work, because we're not bigger individually than the system. We're not bigger individually than these institutional organizations and pieces that seek to oppress us and kill us every day, right? We have to do this in community. This is what our traditions have done since the beginning of time. And that's what leadership looks like, is recognizing that this is done in community. And this means that whether or not we disagree, whether or not we don't come to necessarily the same agreements, because we always haven't, right? We might have had slight disagreements. We recognize that we got to maintain that there is a greater picture that we're all striving to, and that the very, very small disagreements and the personal feelings attached to that are minimal compared to the suffering that Black people face every day, us included as Black people. And so just it's leadership is an understanding that we are doing something bigger than ourselves. And we are placing ourselves, we have to recognize that we are powerless in that sense individually, right? Unless it's in community, we are powerless. And that's what a leader is someone who does recognize that and gives to the community, and recognizes that community is voice, not themselves.
Right. Right. I'm trying to think how to position the next question I want to ask y'all and myself. conflict, how should conflict be handled within community, or how should it not be handled?
So uh, I think for me, I'm always in a process of unlearning, right? And I think that that's one of the things that kind of creates a duality for me inside, right? Like I realize my concepts of maybe accountability or how to resolve things in a system that has been so punitive, right? Like that has set at a place of erasing the humanity of people from a way of penalizing and yeah, from penalizing folks from being human or moving in ways like uh so for me, I think there's the duality of moving out of that space, and then I think it's also about creating the new space, right? And in that new space, I think for me there's a room for a lot of forgiveness on both sides of it. You know what I mean? I realize that folks hurt folks hope folks. You know what I mean? And I think that that's and when we live and work in such an environment where there's so much trauma that we experience ourselves as activists and organizers in the work that we do for Black folks, like it's trauma ridden from the time we get out of bed and the time we go back to bed, right? Like we see so many things and so many angles of it that um, that forgiveness and understanding of the trauma that we all experience is one. And then two, I think it's about trying to bring it to the point of speaking with folks individually, trying to resolve it so that there's not a place where we're tearing each other down and trying to harm each other in the same way and emulating the same way that the system attempts to tear folks down. You know what I mean? I think when we look at this work historically and we see leaders or what it means to be a Black leader or to be in this work, um, we often face death as a consequence, whether we want to or not, for the work that we do from outside entities, right? So I think it's always important for us to hold each other internally a little bit different because we already know what accountability looks like from the other side, and oftentimes what they feel or how they feel isn't even real. Like it's not even the idea of who we are or what the work is that we do. And so I think there's also a cautionary tale in that and how we speak on each other. You know what I mean? Like we know for sure that the outside world sees Black people, sees Black women, sees Black leaders a certain way. And so when we say that we want to hold each other in a different way, we got to be cautious not to be tearing down X, Y, and Z in the same way that the outside community wants to do that to us in every aspect and every fashion. So, yeah, personal, bringing it in, trying to discuss it, but realizing that we always have larger issues. The thing that bonds us together is what we're trying to fight.
Uh, for me, conflict conflict isn't a bad thing, right? Like I think we can all agree on that. And yet it's how we come into conflict. Are we coming in simply to throw hands? Or are we coming in to seek restoration, to seek resolution, right? Like if we coming into conflict for the sake of conflict, then we're not really coming to the table to try to restore anything. Because then the question is restoration to what, right? What are you trying to restore? Right. And so for me, it's just you have to come into conflict with a mindset that is exactly what we should all be coming into the mindset of when we're doing the work on the ground. And the work that we're doing on the ground calls for us to humanize the folks that aren't being humanized. And yet when we come into conflict with our very own people, we're not humanizing them. And yet we telling the folks that will never humanize us. We telling institutions and spaces that will never see us as human to humanize us. And yet we can't even do that ourselves. And so, for me, it's just like, how do we really want to, what do we come into conflict for? What do we see conflict as? Is it, I had a mentor that always like, for sure, you always right. Right. You could be right. I could argue my way out of anything. I was right. But are we doing this work to be right? Or are we trying to be righteous? Right. And there's a difference, right? There's a difference between right and righteous. And if we come into this work and we come into conflict just to be right, then we're not really doing this work for other people. We're doing this work for our ego. Right. It's when we get to the space of righteousness that we doing this work for liberation. So that's just my piece. Vic put it much better than I could, but that was just my piece on conflict.
No, you both put it really good. What I see a lot is people emulating, like, Victor said, you said, people emulating the exact thing that we're fighting against, people emulating the system. And they might do it all in one sentence. They might say we're for this, but then they're physically enacting exactly what they're saying that they're against. Like, like an example, like support Black women while tearing down Black women, or bullying while saying you don't be bullying nobody. Like, you know what I mean? And the methods and the strategies that we use to confront conflict within our community. And when I say within, I'm emphasizing that because the way that we hold each other is supposed to be different. And so confronting conflict within our communities that we are calling ourselves abolitionists and doing abolition work and saying that we don't like the inequities and we don't like the way that our people are treated, and then we're copying it, like, there has to be some unpacking. Like, how do you, I don't know. It just makes me wonder people's motives and goals. Like, what is your goal? Is your goal to help your people? Or is your work, this is what my friend Didi Delgado would say, is like, that's your work. Like, that is your work. And that's not gonna be my work ever. So let me think of the next question. I'm making an agenda as we go. If you guys think of something, please throw it out there.
I think, just to add to what you said, I think you hit on a specific piece that we doing exactly, or folks do exactly what the system does to us, right? And I, like, we were saying this before we got on here. I was just talking about, like, around the idea of activism, like the folks who are doing this activist work, this notion of frontline, right? Like, this isn't a necessarily a badge of honor, right? This stems from grief and loss. Like, this is not saying activism is a bad thing, but to do and to have to do activism is a sense that we've lost something in our community, that we're grieving as a community. And for folks to commodify and capitalize on Black loss and Black grief, right, is exactly what the system does. So how, why are you out here when conflict does arise, which is a natural part of human, life? When conflict does arise, you use Black grief and Black loss to hop on any pulpit that you can to commodify these Black bodies and say, look at what I'm doing compared to what this person is not doing. Or look at what this person is not doing. You're commodifying a Black life. You are literally using a Black life. And we out here protesting the whole time, getting upset at the police and institutions doing that, and you do that on your own time. You do that in the public. You do that amidst white folks, and white folks then feel empowered to do the same shit. They feel empowered to do the same shit. And it's like, when are we going to stop commodifying, capitalizing on Black bodies? Because activists are guilty of that as well. If we can even call that activism, right? Because then it just destroys the whole essence of what activism really is.
I hear that too, and I think the way I feel about it is, like, especially when we talk about how we hold each other differently, I think what's really hard is in several aspects, right? Like, we don't really have space a lot of times to think about how we want to hold each other differently. Right? Like, most of our spaces are already criminalized. They're already, like, all of those essence of how we organize is already under so much scrutiny and already under so many eyes, that when we have the opportunity to come together, like in this meeting, to talk about a space and how we want to hold each other, how we want to see each other, is something that isn't something that we get all the time. You know what I mean? Like, our spaces in a lot of ways are already criminalized. And then two, I think that it's how we speak to our community, right? The thing that I loved about this call, and the thing that I think is so important, that as we continue to look at each other, is like, Black folks we're so diverse. It's not a monolith in how we think and how we act and how we move. And so being able to hold space for all of those different diverse tactics and aspects of how we can move together is important. And there just has to be a mutual level of respect and love. Like, you may be moving in a way, that goes this way or that point, or I don't see us being the the nail that I want to drive into the system, but it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate the work that you're doing. And the other thing, when you talk about like the idea of like how white folks then get permission to like feel justified and the aspect of treating us the same way. I like the thing, like I watched this movie, uh, uh, the Messiah, the Judas and the Black Messiah, right? And I felt like, damn. And it's the way that I always feel when we start moving in power and we get together in a group. It'd be like, man, we so like the reason why we are under so much scrutiny is the power that we have. Undeniably, the power that we have, right? And I'd be like, nothing can divide us, nothing can stop what we do except for us. And that internal aspect of like how we hold each other and talk with each other, white people leverage that shit all the time. And the truth about a lot of this, especially because you know BLM or Black issues, like we make up 12% of a population. You know what I mean? We always gonna have allies around folks. And what I can't say specifically, and this is just the way that I peep the game in Sacramento, a lot of the times when white people start tapping on you, like, oh, you should be the leader. Oh, you should be doing this, or you should be doing, like, they be sowing those seeds to try to discredit folks because of the effectiveness that folks have been able to bring to the table. So a lot of the times when I see a lot of the times when I see a division within groups or aspects of it, it's like who wants to be the head of something. And to me, like the thing that I've always loved about working within this organization of BLM, there has never been a head. Like Tanya takes on these aspects. Like what I love about Tanya be like, oh, you want to do this? Like you want to be the one to talk to the media? Go right on ahead, get it. Like come get this. Come get some of this work. Let me go do something else real quick. Let me breathe. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's one aspect of it. And then two, it's like it's the aspect of like, you know, we do this. Why are you doing this work? And to me, it's like I'm doing this work because I want my people freed, but not some of my people. Like not just the people who agree with me, but the people who disagree with me free too. Like I want all aspects of us free. The system that we live in is so much more oppressive that we all got to get up out of here. Like and until the focus is, to me, until the focus is on like, bro, we got to get up out of here. Like if that's not the urgency in trying to liberate, like we'll figure a whole lot of other shit else out later once we get up out of here. And to me, like I always prioritize getting up out and fighting the system that's oppressing me before I look at another brother and sister and be like, oh, I got issues with you. You know what I mean? Like, nah, bro, I'm trying to get up out of here. I'm trying to get free. I'm trying to make sure that everybody looks like me is free. Like I want this system to collapse, period, overall.
Um, I had an experience where some Black folks were talking shit in front of white folks about me. And these white folks called themselves allies, which I think we're going to talk about calling yourself an ally and calling yourself a leader in a minute. But these white folks that considered themselves allies, and then they started talking shit about me publicly, calling me names and stuff. And so then I saw one of them in the store one day, and I had never bumped into any of them. And it was white folks, right? So when I saw this one in the store, I told her to keep my name out of her mouth. I never confront people like that, especially now that like I do this work and everything I do is scrutinized. Like I don't do that, but I needed to do that because she needed to know like you don't do that. And later on, it got back to one of the Black people that were originally talking about me, and they said, you wouldn't have done that to a Black person. You damn right I wouldn't have. I hold my people differently. And that's going to speak to how we hold each other, right? But then let's talk about two things. We've got somebody talked about something in the comments that I want to bring up and get your 2 cents on. And then after that, I want us to talk about what is a leader and what is an ally. Like who gets to say, who is that? Who gets to say who a leader is and who gets to say who an ally is? Like, because we got so many people calling themselves leaders, but I won't elaborate that on that yet. Somebody in the comments said that, and this is an ally, okay? And I'm calling them an ally. Because I know them personally, but they said that we need to respect diversity of tactics. All we need to respect a diversity of tactics is a common end goal and cause. Okay, so with everything that we know that's happened over the last year, maybe year and a half in protests and all that, diversity of tactics, when it applies to white people and when it applies to Black people is different in Black liberation work. So let's speak to that, because I feel like a lot of folks that are not Black, they put themselves in the same category as us when they're fighting, or when they say that they're fighting for Black liberation work, or as allies against this oppressive system that's oppressing Black people. So when they're going out and they're saying Black Lives Matter, sometimes I feel like they put themselves on the same page as us, as how they react to protest, and how they, like, you know, like they have say so in what type of tactics are used. And I want us to speak to that, because in the end, it comes back on Black people. So I feel like it's important for us to like highlight diversity of tactics and who uses them and when do they use them, and following the lead of Black folks and making sure Black folks don't get hurt. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the I mean that's just the summary of it, right? Like if you're an ally and you're doing this work, I have great appreciation, and the tactics that come from that aspect of it, especially if you're looking at Black liberation, you have to understand, especially when your tactics lead to an escalation of violence, um, or a potential threat of an escalation of violence, that the folks that those people who are going to execute that violence are not going to execute it against you. Like they're going to target Black folks first. They're going to execute the violence on Black folks first. Like that, like, yes, I can respect a diversity of tactics from all aspects of it, right? But there has to be a consideration that when there becomes an escalation of something, especially if there's not Black leadership involved in that, that you automatically put me at risk, at a higher risk than you, and that's harmful, just straight out. You know what I mean? When you associate yourself in those aspects and call for different aspects of it, the violence usually doesn't come to someone who's not Black. It usually comes to somebody who is Black, and they will see what the violence of that escalation looks like. So if there's not Black leadership in your tactics, or running your tactics through somebody who is involved in Black leadership, then you may be putting Black folks at risk, period. And that is respecting the diversity of tactics, but having an understanding that if you're moving in the name of Black folks and there's no Black folks talking about the risk to Black folks, then that ain't good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know it was like a loaded question. You know, I think for me, I think Black folks determine who's an ally, period. Like that, like we determine who's an ally because we are the ones carrying that trauma, right? And everything else Victor said, we determine that. And also there is no need for appreciation. I'm not going to appreciate you for being an ally in that space. And not because I don't think you're worthy of it. I'm still going to humanize you, but I'm not going to appreciate you for humanizing me, because I deserve that. I am worthy of that and so much more. So I'm not going to appreciate you for the bare minimum. I'm not going to appreciate you for that. But, you know, I think in terms of tactics, you know, I think totally there are a variety of tactics, but are they rooted in the cause? Are they rooted in what we are trying to do? Because folks can move in a variety of ways, but where are you ending up? Right. And I think also, are we attaching historical reality to it? Are we recognizing that unfortunately the institution and the system is able to rewrite itself? That is what it does. It rewrites itself. And if we are continuing to think that we can just utilize tactics that we think are revolutionary, we think, oh man, that's hella dope because I'm doing that work and I thought of that. I thought of this event and I set it up. There were folks before you that already set it up. There were folks before you that are already doing that work, and not a diss on the folks that came before us, but the reality is that the system was able to dismantle a lot of it. The Panthers were amazing, and the Panthers were systematically picked apart and destroyed. We can't move the same. We cannot move the same. We need to be creative. We need to truly be revolutionary, and we need to truly be diverse and listen to the elders as well as the new and upcoming youth who have and who are living in the system in a different way. Right? The tactics that we're going to move in have to be different, but they also have to be rooted in true liberation, not ego. Right? It's all about, sure, we can move differently. I know that I move sometimes in a way that is sloppy, but I also know that that means that I have a lot of accountability because my name is attached to things. My name is attached to Tanya. My name is attached to Victor. My name is attached to folks who are also putting their lives on the line. So while I can move in a way, and I know Victor and Tanya won't ever say, "Hey, Bashoy, chill out. Hey, Bashoy, we don't like this." They're also going to remind me that their lives are on the line, and I have to be cognizant of that. I have to be cognizant that I'm not just fighting for my life. I am fighting for every Black life. And so again, if it's not rooted, if the tactics are not rooted in what the bigger picture is and what the work truly is, and it's rooted in ego, then it's not a tactic. You're setting us up for failure and for the consequences that come with it.
That's great, because you didn't talk about a specific tactic or a specific tactics that are good or bad, but you talked about the foundation of where the tactic comes from, and the energy that the tactic comes from, and what it's a part of, and what it knows, and what it's thinking of, and what it's accountable to. So that was good. Okay. We talked about revolutionary. This is going to be a loaded question as well. What is a revolutionary to you? I'm going to say something real quick first. Actually, I'll wait. Go ahead. Somebody. What is a revolutionary?
So I love this question. For me, Black and revolutionary is a sense of radical ass Black love, like both for yourself and for the community. To looking into building in those aspects of it. I know that there are certain ways in which we target and try to dismantle the system. I think in ways that we do that are all important, but I think holding ourselves in a space of that love and our community in a space of that love is what's revolutionary to me. Like, this fight is something that we are charged to do and that we do, but how we hold each other and how we hold ourselves in the community is what is truly revolutionary to me.
Yeah, I think, you stumped me on this. It's so interesting because we always, we say the word, and it's like when we sit here and think about the word, it is so loaded, right? It's so loaded. And for me, not only, is Black and revolutionary usually utilized in similar sentences, I think it's synonymous with one each other. Black is revolutionary, right? By its very essence. And I think, and to Victor's point, it is love. It is radical love. It's not, I think this white supremacist aspect of tough love, or it is real radical love. It is, revolutionary is someone, and it's not martyrdom. Like, not to get the two conflicted, right? We want to live and see it through, right? And right, but to know that maybe we will die for this cause and being content internally with that, it is part of being a revolutionary, and recognizing that also means being content, that we take a bullet for every single Black person in any space. That is radical love. Whether or not I disagree with you, whether or not, but I know that when push comes to shove, I will put my body, my mind, and my spirit in harm's way for you, because I love you. And in the same way, I hope that you do the same for me. And it is really, truly loving ourselves. I think it's Audre Lorde who says self-love and the ability to really take care of ourselves is an act of engaging in political warfare. Take care of ourselves, love ourselves. We can't love our people if we're not loving ourselves, because we are our people, right? Ubuntu, we are who our people are, and our people are who we are. And so, a revolutionary is synonymous with everything Black. and everything not the system, because that's what black is. Black is everything that's not the system, because it's the antithesis. We are the antithesis of the system. We're exactly what the system does not want. We're exactly what the system has not created, right? And so that's what a revolutionary is. It has to be an antithesis and an antagonist. If we're to the system, we have to be the bad guy in the system story. We have to be. And it's not reforming. It's not. No, it is truly being opposite of the system. It is truly, we think of the idea of God, and whether folks believe in some aspect of a higher power, right? For me, I've always believed that anything that's evil, right? This term evil always gets thrown around in church and everywhere around, right? And we say, things are evil. Evil is the exact absence of love, right? And so if evil is the absence of love, what are we doing? Right? If love is everything that is pure and whole, which is black people, pure, whole, amazing, godlike, right? Then what are we doing? Right? Are we following in that which is truly revolutionary, or are we the antithesis of revolutionary, which is the system?
Damn it, Bashoy, I can never comment after you. I should have said my shit in the beginning. Oh shit. That was so good. That was so deep. I was gonna say some basic shit. Now I feel hella basic. But you just said the opposite. So it's like, revolutionary is not working with the system. Revolutionary is not apologizing to the mayor for his garage getting nicked by little rocks, and it is not, talking to the police and working with them. It is not pulling your pants up. It is not changing the way that you talk so that you can fit in. It's not being anything other than yourself and your wholeness and your trueness and loving each part about you. And it doesn't mean like you can't get a weave, but love your hair. You know what I mean? Like we come in a variety. We should be able to come in a variety, but love yourself. Like love yourself. And that's the only way. Honestly, I don't believe that we can love people until we love ourselves. Not truly, So yeah, I just said what revolutionary is not. And y'all just tackled the hell out of what revolutionary is. So I don't think I have any more questions, and I think we've done an hour, or almost an hour. So does anybody else want to throw anything out there before? Oh, well, real quick, just in case you missed the announcement, we have land. We bought some land.
One more time. Say that one more time, Tanya.
We
I didn't hear
have
what you
land.
said.
We have land, y'all. We have land. And the goal is to get some more land, hopefully. And I'm going to put that in the universe. Somebody told me that my manifest game is tight right now. So I'm about to be manifesting some shit. But yeah, we have some land and we're going to do so much with it. And it's going to be beautiful. I just wanted to let anybody know that missed the announcement that we made a land purchase and it's beautiful. So anybody else want to throw anything out there? I'm going to go back to my cloud 9, my land cloud 9.
I just want to uplift you, Tanya. Like, I think we did that already before we hopped on here, but I think, it should be on here as well. And every day, I think you need to be uplifted. You need to be honored, not just for Victor was saying how effective you are, right? You have done this work. Your name is synonymous with Sacramento because you care and love deeply about all Black people in Sacramento. You care and love deeply about Sacramento. And there's no amount of words that could uplift the work that you've done. Like coming in very recently myself and just already being impacted. I told you the reason I wanted to get into this work was because of you. I heard you one day and it brought me to tears. And I think that's just the power that you have. You are a God, and it's and that's nothing. That's not to sorry, my lock's getting in my way. It's too damn windy for this. But it really is just like credit to the way you just walk into any space, and the way you move any spaces with such integrity, such reverence, such love, like true radical love. We just talked about what a revolutionary is and is not, and you really just exude that love because it's who you are. And so I just appreciate you, like, every day, in the way that you move, and the way that you love on me, on us as a collective, as a family, as a community, and the way you just love people regardless. So I appreciate you, Tanya, for real.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Thank you, Bishoy.
I mean, I can't say enough. You know, at the end of the day, I can't give enough appreciation for the work and how you approach the work, how you approach folks, how there's so much work that, like, I don't think people know the work that you do. Like, I don't think they know how much work it is that you do. I don't think, and to me that's what I appreciate. Like, you don't go out here talking about, this is the family I help here, or this is that, or, you know, I got this phone call at 12 o'clock in the morning, I had to hop in my car and go do this. Like, but I know that that's stuff that's happening behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Tanya's a person who's trying to live her life, but when the call comes in at blah, 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 Tanya's out there going to make that happen. You know, the person who hops in their car to go do the cop watch, you know, at the drop of a dime, to make sure that folks are safe and secure inside of our community. I'm so excited about this land, because I think I think it's a way for us to move forward and create some self-sustainability for our community, and to combat a lot of the violence that we have. And that type of vision was because of you, and it has manifested because of the work and the actions that you took forward to make that happen. So there's so much. I want you to get all your roses now, because you're really setting a space up for a legacy to happen inside of a community that I care so much about. You know, I looked at the space the other night and I was like, it's home. You know what I mean? Like, I know from now on, I'm gonna have a place in Oak Park. You know what I mean? And not only am I gonna have a place in Oak Park, I know my kids are gonna be able to come and see the actions that happen inside of the Oak Park, and have a representation of what Black folks have done inside of that community, and how we built and love on each other in that community, and the actions that we've taken inside of the capital city. Because, you know, we rocked out of that little ass neighborhood. Like, we rocked and changed policies on a national level out of that little old neighborhood. So I appreciate you so much, the way that you hold both me and the folks around you, and the way you continue to push that vision. And I appreciate all the work that you do. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Damn, this is not on the agenda, y'all. I did not organize for this to be. I thank you so much, Victor. You know, you've affirmed me on so many levels in so many situations. So I appreciate you. Like, I can't be me without y'all, like, for real. Like, I really, honestly, like, especially like the last 2 years, like, it's been a lot. So thank you. I'm excited about this land too. Once we get that second plot, which we are going to get it, I'm manifesting that now. I'm putting it out into the universe. We're going to build a small house on it, and that's going to be Victor's house. And he's going to look over the land that's going to have a large community garden on it. That's going to be your space. I'm just pointing you to that. I don't know if you want to do that, but I figure it's something you might want to do, because I know that the garden is really, really, really important. I really, like, we could have a small ass garden on the land that we're getting now, but I want to really have a space where people can just come and just pick what they need. Like, it doesn't have to be policed or organized, or like, oh, you can only get one. Like, I want people to just come and get what they need. And so we need a lot of land for that. Vegetables and fruit and beans and nuts should not be, it should be free to everybody. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah. Okay. I'm super excited. That was my white woman woo.
I'm ready. I'm loving it.
Okay. Anything else anybody want to throw out there before we end this? Okay. Well,
Love
thank you.
y'all.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just love y'all. That's it.
Yeah, I love y'all. I love those watching, and I'm gonna go through these comments and answer whatever questions we got. But I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this. We just needed to get on. This wasn't planned, but we had a a debrief, and we felt like we needed to talk to the greater people, like the bigger, larger base of people. So, all right, have a good rest of your Saturday.
You
I'm gonna
too,
get my
Vanessa.
All right, bye.